Welcome back to Thrive, your go-to channel for transforming health, revolutionizing indoor air quality, and visionary environments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below to let us know your thoughts.
Small steps is the theme. My architectural partner and I used to dwell on Da Vinci. Remember Da Vinci's metric of man? Yes. The human body? I can't remember the numbers. He used to describe me as metric man. 2 metres exactly, 200 centimetres, 100 kilos, a gate which provided a 1 metre step whenever I walked, 2 metre wingspan. I was a metric man, and I used to top it off by saying, and finished up with an IQ of 10. I had that gait of a metre. It was almost always perfect. Since I did my hip, my gait has reduced. I'm more Biden-like now. My steps are pitchy steps, and I understand the concept and the safety of small steps. The interesting thing for me is, I think, over the last 3 or 4 years, I've probably been to a dozen of these get-togethers in one form or another, and some remarkable people doing remarkable work. We all get it. We understand it. As I said, I'm an architect. I get it. I was taught it. We all agree what the need is, but we have to also recognise that we haven't advanced to where we need to go. We haven't got decision makers saying, yes, we're going to do that. And that's the challenge, I think. How do you get there? And who are the decision makers? Ultimately, it's likely to be a premier, a prime minister, or a minister. I've been a premier and a minister. Robbie Scott here has been a minister. And I can tell you from my personal observation, I don't know what Rob's observation is, I'll be more charitable. He'll be more charitable than me. Most ministers are terrified of issues because most ministers don't understand anything about the issues that come to them. They're dependent on an advisor to keep them out of trouble, and the advisor doesn't know much about the issues either. They don't want to be caught spending a huge amount of money. They don't want to stuff up. It's an instinct, it's ministerial instinct. And it's something we have to overcome. So how do you get a minister to respond? How do you get them to shuffle off up Everest? Small steps up to base camp and then over the top. It's a real challenge. Now, I've referred to this before. I just want to expand on a little bit. I have a concept I call irresistible advice. If you're a minister and you get irresistible advice, you'll act on it. You'll act on it for the same reasons that you might not act on it if it wasn't irresistible. Fear, self-interest, and a bit of public interest. So my 5 steps for irresistible advice go like this. Firstly, Minister, you've got a problem that you don't know about. Minister is going, you didn't tell me about it. What's the problem I don't know about? And Rob can dispute this later if you want. The second step is, Minister, if you don't do something about this problem, you personally are going to be impacted. In fact, your government might fall. And the ministers are starting to get interested. The third step, fortunately, Minister, we have a solution for you. Oh, thank God, says the minister. Someone's got a solution. Fourth step, the good news, Minister, is that it's not going to cost you a lot of money or a lot of time. And it won't cost you a lot of political capital, not that you get to say that. And the final step is, and the even better news, Minister, is if you pick this up, if you own this issue, if you do this, if you take these bigger steps up the mountain, you will benefit, you'll be remembered, you'll have a legacy, you'll be a champion. That's irresistible advice for a minister. It's irresistible advice for a premier. And it can be advice which is pretty shocking. If you're following the news at the moment, the CFMEU are in the news. That's cut through because it's a problem that nobody wanted to know about. But if you're an architect, you've known about it for 25 or 30 years. Ministers haven't wanted to know about it on all persuasions. They put it aside. They put it aside because everybody was part of an accord where as long as everybody's getting paid, it doesn't matter. The loser in that was the public because they've got it. So we're in a situation now where there's a problem on the table. The impact is going to be obvious on those who don't resolve the problem. It's a bit fuzzy about a solution and there's a bit fuzzy about what it's going to cost. But there's an opportunity for somebody to be a hero at the end of it. Now, as I said, I think we all know what we're talking about. The problem is, I suspect, that we're all a bit rational. And intelligent people tend to be rational. So Lydia had the slide before this had what the aim was, clean air everywhere. That's not a problem. That's a goal. If we were describing this as a problem to a minister, I wouldn't be saying we want clean air everywhere. I'd be saying, Minister, you've got a problem you're not aware of. You're the landlord for 300 buildings. 200 of them are currently unsafe. And those public servants in your buildings are on the cusp of a legal suit. Same problem, described differently. Second step, Minister, if you don't do something about this, the media are going to come and they're going to point the finger at you. You better do something about it. And depending on which minister you're talking to, you might say, Minister, you've got 4,000 school buildings. 2,000 of them are unsafe. And if you think I'm kidding, Cladding Safety Victoria was set up as a result of recommendations of a committee that I co-chaired under the government Rob was part of. And one of my political competents over the years, Dan O'Brien, was put in place as the CEO. We get on very well these days. He recently declared this is just about defective cladding, that 50% of all apartment buildings in Victoria have substantial defects, not just cladding defects. They go to HVAC systems, they go to all sorts of stuff. It passed unnoticed, but it's real. 50% of new apartment buildings are unsafe. And the way we describe it, the problem I think is critical. We haven't yet got a neat, tidy solution to put on the table. But there are lots of things. When I first started doing this, I had a list of things we could do straight away, which are easy and inexpensive, some that were a bit more involved and some which were long-term about changing regulations and building differently, all that sort of stuff. The easy stuff we can talk about, but we haven't got a snapshot what the solution is, and we haven't got a simple path for a minister to take yet. And I think that's the challenge for us as a group of people who know what the issue is, to start thinking in a way which will produce outcomes. We had the forum at Parliament House in Canberra. Everyone, we're all agitated and excited about it, but I'll be ruthless and say there wasn't a great turnout for decision makers. So the box has been ticked. So what do we have to do differently? And I think we have to actually address the ministers themselves and give them the advice they need. Walk in here, on this sign here, there are 23 organisations. So what does a ministerial advisor think of that? There are probably even more. The forum we had, I've forgotten where we had it now, in Canberra, somewhere, there were even more organisations. A ministerial advisor can say to a minister, quite legitimate, there's lots of different organisations, they've all got different things in mind. Minister, we're all breathing, it's not an issue, no one's going to die today. So we have to recast it to get it ahead. I still take the view that Lydia's original call was an important one. A significant task force bringing together people that's legitimised by government. That's a relatively easy, painless, low-cost step to legitimise what's going on here in the eyes of government. I think, and Thrive and various bodies and the Burnett have got an opportunity to bring together the case studies that prove the solution. If it was me, what would I be doing? What would I respond to? If you showed me a set of maps of schools where every seat in every classroom is mapped for a year and against sickness or health, blah, 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 and the air quality in those rooms, it wouldn't be hard to do. Put it together and see what it is. Show me some office buildings and show me the changes in air quality and the changes in absenteeism. A bit disguised these days because of work from home. Simple steps that are obvious for ministers so you can go bang, bang, bang. And then you've got to talk about a solution as to what the costs are. We know what the solutions are, whether they're step 1, 2 or 3. What do we do? Put a package together that's reasonable. And then finally, you've got to be prepared to invest in maybe benefits which flow to somebody who makes the first decision. That's what leadership's about. People talk about John Howard. Lots of people hated John Howard. He made the decision about guns following Tasmania. He's been a hero on that issue ever since. I'm going to shut up. But irresistible advice is we haven't packaged it up the right way, in my view. And I'll leave it there.
Thank you very much. Just a few quick comments. When you first started talking about irresistible advice, I'm not sure where it was going, but when you started then explaining what to do, it reminded me of something which I brought to the attention to our colleagues from Burnett just very recently in view of our plans. The previous Minister for Health in the previous government ran in 2021, after our first paper in Science was published about changing paradigm, and after a few discussions, he asked me what would I do if I were the Minister for Health. And the advice which I gave, and I must admit, it was not completely my idea, but with the help of our VC's advisor for the government, is basically word by word what you said. Nothing happened then. It was probably well ahead of its time. It was then published as an article in the Conversation, slightly modified. So really now as a bigger group, we may come back to this. Now, when you say that some of the steps are easy, they are not that easy. What's not easy? Epidemiological studies in schools, it is not easy, and this will take a long time. We can easily demonstrate, or easily, if we are allowed to classrooms, we can demonstrate what the situation is. That's not the problem with this, but linking this with the infections or accidents and so on. This is an epidemiological study which should be randomized control. This is something which would take years to do, but I don't think we need this kind of studies. We can demonstrate
We've
this.
got Council House in Melbourne, it's already on the table.
Yeah,
We just
so
need a bit of variety.
that's right. So I think we could do this on a much smaller sample of problems and demonstrate. If we demonstrate that 10 schools have a problem in terms of air quality, big problem in air quality, or something like this, is a starting point. So, well, this is really makes really nice. So thank you for this.